why don't you just jump right into this week's Territorial Cup and what it means to the seniors and everything else with the program?
You know, as I told the team, and I think the upperclassmen certainly understand, it's the biggest game we play every year, irregardless of what's at stake. And, you know, some years there's been a whole lot at stake. But for us, you know, the Territorial Cup, it's a rivalry school. It's a school, one of the greatest rivalries in college sports. So I think as tough as the season has been, I think playing ASU on this certainly gives our guys something to really work hard for this week and try to achieve Friday night.
Anything special planned this week for the rivalry, bringing guys in, or?
No, we don't do as much with that. I think that's understood. I think the thing that added on to the rivalry game and all the importance of playing ASU is it's the seniors' last game, not just last home game, but last game period. And so we'll do quite a bit with them throughout the week as far as honoring the seniors. And certainly this has not been the kind of year that any of us, in particular seniors, wanted to have. But throughout their careers, they've accomplished quite a bit, and it's a great group of young men. I think all of them have either graduated or will graduate by the end of the summer. So, you know, it's a special group of guys, and this is I know it's going to be a huge game for them in particular.
What has that senior class meant to this program?
Well, it's been huge, and there's some of them that were here in our very first recruiting class. A lot of them were here for, you know, a couple pretty good seasons, and they've given great effort this year. And throughout their careers, it sounds kind of corny that as a staff, when you bring somebody in, you want every player to say 10, 15, 20 years down the road that if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same place with the same people. And that means they truly enjoyed their experience. And you'd have to poll them, but I think most of them would say that. And that gives me great pride to be able to watch a lot of these guys from when they first got here as 18-year-old young men to being 22, 23, or in the case of Sonny, maybe he's 25 or 26 years old, to see where they've come, and really proud of that fact.
So is this a game where you don't really need to give any big motivational speeches?
No, I would hope not, but you still, because we have 35 or 36 first-year players in the program, I still reminded them, starting with after the game Saturday night and then through yesterday's meeting, yesterday's practice, how important this game is. And, you know, the stress to them, there's no game, as I said, that's more important than the ASU game. So we stressed that again, and we'll continue to talk about it all week. You know, we'll normally have Mondays off, but we're going to do a little meeting and walk through today. They'll have Saturday off. That'll be their day off this week. But it's not like we're going to do a little extra work because we're a day shorter when we play on Friday, but we're going to make sure we get our work in to get prepared.
How did the travel schedule in this short week, what time did you get home Sunday?
Got back, I mean, that was the hard part about playing a late night road game. As you get back, I think we were back 4:30 or 5 in the morning. They had a road game too. It was earlier and probably shorter flight home. I don't know what time they got back, but yeah, it was 5 in the morning was a quick turnaround. I think I got home for an hour or two and then got back in the office. But our players yesterday was I guess for a Sunday walkthrough, the energy was pretty good. I'm sure they're a little bit tired, but they'll be able to sleep in Thursday, and Friday's a late game. They'll be able to sleep in Friday.
Rich, with your offensive line, what's been the biggest issue for them being able to get to that second level to try to ignite the run game?
Well, I don't know if it's about getting to second level. We've had a hard time with continuity because I think we've had a different starting lineup in about every game. You know, in the last game, we were down 2 guys and Alsadek and DeBeard in place. So it's been a challenge to get. I don't know if you always have to have the same lineup, but it certainly helps from a continuity standpoint. And that's been part of the issue. And we've been able to run the ball okay at times, but in the last game we weren't able to run it as well as we needed to. And, you know, tailback situation has changed too. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff involved in a run game.
What
would make you the most optimistic about Friday's game from what you've seen during the last few games? What can you say, well, we're right here in this area, right here. What can you kind of look to that can give you hope?
Well, when I watched part of it, again, it's hard unless you watch the football film of it. You just see, oh gosh, if we just executed that would have been a touchdown or a huge play. Or defensively, it's just one guy with either a missed technique or just eyes in the wrong spot or a missed tackle or something here. So, you optimistically think we're closer after watching the film than you think. But that close is not good enough. You gotta get that done. But that would answer your question. There's a couple things on all three phases that tell us, listen, we can get that executed and be okay. We're obviously not been a very good football team, but I see glimpses of it, and the guys are still trying. And some of the issues won't get fixed overnight, but we can play well enough to win, and that's kind of what our goal is to be this week.
Andre took another bad sack in that game on Saturday. At what
Mhm.
point in the quarterback's progression would you expect him not that?
Before they get here, I mean, before, when most of them are coached well, and he was coached well in high school. And that's just, kind of one of those, scratch your head a little bit, but it makes young men make mistakes, but that part you usually can understand sooner than that. But still, it's just one play. But young guys make mistakes sometimes.
He's still playing at the same level that he was when he first started his freshman year?
Probably, his redshirt freshman year had some really good games. I think everybody's certainly got, the quarterback position is probably, from a viewing standpoint, people would like to probably evaluate or judge it more. And I can understand that because they can see, like, hey, you should have thrown that ball away, or hey, you shouldn't have thrown that pass, or what have you. And some of it's obvious, but there's a lot of the quarterback play that's less obvious that you have to really be watching the film or being with the coaches and to understand the play call to see whether it was a poor play or not. Is he playing? Was he playing at the same level he was at some of his great games earlier? Probably not, but not a lot of it was his fault either. So I don't want to sit there and it's easy to be critical when you haven't played or coached the position, in my opinion.
You had said the other night that he had a toe injury. He also landed on his head a couple different times. Were there any concerns about it?
No, nothing.
Did you think the play with Demetrius did you think that was a safety?
I did. Yeah. I didn't watch the TV copy of it, but I thought on the football copy, which is usually the best copy, I thought it was. And it got reviewed. That's always frustrating when you get reviewed and you're like, seeing the same thing I am, but yeah, I thought it was.
Was there an issue with the clock operation at the end of the first half? It seemed like there was some confusion about whether there was a first down or should have been a measurement maybe.
Well, good question. I thought we had gotten the first down the play earlier, which would have saved us a little bit of time, and it got marked a little bit, and we didn't have time. I didn't want to use the last time out. I didn't have time to let them try to figure it out. They just marked it, and so we had to go get the first down. And but I wasn't as perplexed by that one as the pass play. I thought it looked like Sean Brown got grabbed on the route, and that touchdown would have been huge. But that was my opinion. And I thought the film, watching the film too, but they saw it otherwise.
Has Sean been one of the bright spots to emerge this season? I mean,
He has. I think we talked about it before. It's not a total surprise because to see the way he works and the way he's progressed, but he's a really good football player and a tough guy, and he's made a lot of big plays for us this year.
How much does the win over ASU really make things not as bad?
Yeah, I think certainly it's because it's the biggest game on your schedule. It's the seniors' last home game. It's a game that's really important to a lot of our fans. like I said earlier, it's not going to erase all the stuff, but at least for a moment, it's going to make you feel good. So it is huge, and it's huge for us to have a great week of practice, which I think we will, and hopefully have a great atmosphere Friday night. And I think both teams will play hard because everybody's going to play hard in a rivalry game. You got to play hard and play well. That's going to be the key.
How come Tallis Jones didn't start?
It's been a combination of things, both injury-wise, and then because he's been injured and has not been able to take practice reps, it's set him back. So he's playing on special teams, but defensively his role was really limited. Hopefully it'll be more this week.
You've talked about how proud you are of Rhett. Are you able to talk about how good of a quarterback he is? Is that something you can talk about? I think sometimes maybe fans look at it.
That's a good question, Jason. With NCAA rules, I can't talk about any of the recruits out there signing day, I guess, with the exception of my son. And I'm just, I guess, more proud. Give me a second. Jason knows how to get me going, talk about my kids, right? But he's having a terrific playoff run. I don't know how many touchdowns he's accounted for in the last couple of weeks, 12 or 13 or something. But I see him work. I mean, by Sunday, if they played on Friday, by Sunday he's watched 10 hours of film. And I come home 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and he's in there watching film and wants me to watch some film with him. But, and he's had a great senior year, and their team is doing great, but I'm probably more proud of him as who he is. As a student, as a person. The same way with my daughter. I mean, Raquel's captain of the cheerleading squad, doing great in school. Rhett's obviously doing well. He's doing great in school, and who they are. It's because it's not easy. I mean, everybody wants to make assumptions. Well, you have this, and you're a coach's kid. You have that, and so they'll be the first to tell you, like Rhett, like, hey, I've been able to be around football my whole life, but it's and that's probably helped in his growth because he understands the game. I mean, he's smart and he understands the game, but there's also a certain level of pressure that inherently goes with coaches' kids, particularly at this level, and that's not always the easiest either. When you're a teenager, and they've handled it unbelievably.
Are you going to be able to go to his game on Saturday?
Yes. In fact, I'm gonna shoot. I don't know what time our game's 7:30. So by the time our game is over, it's going to be late. But I'm gonna head up the road, and he plays an early one. 10 a.m. So I'll be up there and ready to go. Just watch him 10 a.m. rooting him on. As a dad.
As tough as this season has been, have you allowed yourself to be that dad and break away from this to be able to enjoy?
Well, it's probably been I've missed a few games, we're on the road or what have you, but that's probably been, it hasn't been. It's certainly been a bright spot, and it's been I don't know if release is the right word, or it's been able to go just watch it and kind of like, even though you're watching thinking football, you're watching it as much as a dad. It was like, as Coach Mahalchek was it was 2 weeks ago, not this last game, Sunrise Mountain game, which was another game, was an upset for him. And we're both on the sidelines because we kind of like to kind of watch it from the sidelines, and I think we were both, we're just kind of stoic in watching it, but it was a crazy game of going back and forth and all that, and they made a big play at the end win. I'm watching myself fist pump and get fired up on a high school game. It was kind of neat because you get to follow not just him, but having seen him and his other teammates he's grown with over the last 2 or 3 years, and seeing them, whether it's a college kid or a high school kid, seeing them have the joy that they have after having success and winning a game like that. There's nothing better than that. I've always said that there's nothing better than a winning locker room. We haven't had very many of those this year, but just to watch those high school kids, where they brought that program when it was 0-10 4 years ago to now being in a state championship, it's phenomenal. And to watch my son's growth from a 150-pound skinny freshman quarterback for the varsity to being a grown man now, making checks and competing his tail off and all that stuff has just been one true, obviously, big bright spot for me this fall. No question. It has been for 4 years. Rhett's got a great setup in the basement. I mean, he's got the video games and the TV, and I think more importantly than that, the refrigerator and the snacks. Have you ever seen high school kids eat? I mean, you can't go to Sam's or Costco's enough to satisfy those kids. I mean, and then, the amount of pizza and chips and Gatorade these kids have eaten over 4 years, it's phenomenal, yeah.
What's Coach Jeff Skirn meant to your son and your team as a whole?
Well, Jeff's obviously done a great job with the program, and I think, any high school coach and hopefully college coaches have great influence, more influence than coaches at the NFL, even though there's coaches at the NFL that have great influence too. But because they get them in a developmental age. But I think more than anything else, when Jeff went there, he made it important. I think that's a key everywhere. He made football important at a school that it wasn't important to, and to what level the school itself it was, but for the players, it became important. And because again, they practiced long hours. They did a lot of stuff in the season, off the season, and so they could sense it was important to their coaching staff and it was important to that program. And I think that's helped tremendously in their growth.
Have you had any thoughts or discussions at all about your own job security situation in light of the way the season has gone, or talks with Greg Byrne about it, or anything of that nature?
No, I think, I don't know what you guys are writing and I haven't. Sorry, it's not because I don't believe in your journalistic skills or what you're doing. I mean, you can write and report whatever you want, and I think you guys, unless I hear otherwise, you've been pretty fair. But when you don't have success, the criticism it comes with it, and then questions about job security comes with it. Last year wasn't a great year; it was a very average year. This year was an awful year. So, if one awful year makes people want to get rid of you, then, like I said before, other people's opinion is really no business of mine. And I hate to say this, this is not critical you all. Your opinion is no business of mine either. I shouldn't be judging what you say or write, or that's obviously you can make your opinion on it. I think we have a great future here. And sometimes when a coach says that when a terrible year, they just, he's just trying to play the optimistic approach. Folks, I've been doing this a long time. Been a head coach a long time. And this is, obviously a year that you couldn't foreshadow or certainly expect or want. But I'm sitting here, the reason I'm optimistic because I know what's in the program daily. I know what's coming in the program in this recruiting cycle, and I know what the administration and support that I'll have to help us go forward. So it'll make us enjoy when we win a championship in the Pac-12 even more so, I guess. I just would rather not have to have this kind of year to make us enjoy it that much. But to answer your question, I don't, everything has been positive from my talks with Greg or anybody associated with the school.
Can
Anything
you
else?
comment on the Marcel Yates story that came out this weekend too?
Yeah, I read it.
About his- Okay.
And I talked to him about it.
Do you have any comment on that at all?
I read it and I talked to him about it.